So let's start with the US. Clearly the US is a little different than it used to be. But having said that, I think a lot of the concerns which people have expressed in the world are those of countries and leaders who had a particular kind of relationship with the United States. And mostly these are alliance relationships. We've always had a very independent relationship with the US. So I think many of the concerns that you hear expressed in other parts of the world don't necessarily apply to us. In terms of our own relationship, I'm very confident the relationship is today extremely strong. And if you look at the numbers, put the pros aside for a moment. Okay, You look at the trade numbers, you look at the visa numbers, you look actually at any index of what a relationship is about. Every number is good, actually. So now there will be issues because this United States has today made trade issues much more central to its foreign policy. It believes, I think the phrase used was that economic security is national security. And economic security is defined largely in trade, in terms of trade numbers. Okay. Now we can debate those trade numbers. I'm not even sure that the numbers we regularly use capture actually what is the real trade between us. You come from the digital world, a lot of our digital trade numbers are not captured in those numbers at all. So we can actually, first of all, even have a first principles issue. What are the real trade numbers between India and the US? And I would suggest it's much more favorable than people make it out to be. But having said that, what you do when you have a strong relationship is to sit down and work it out. My own sense is that that's what we should do. I can tell you that's what we are doing. There have been some very good conversations between our trade minister and USTR, Ambassador Lighthizer. At least I'm not a trade negotiator, but I don't see anything out there which is such an insuperable obstacle, that something we can't crack. I don't see that. So I think it's a question of putting in the effort, having the creativity, having the desire actually to sort it out. I think if we have all that, I'm pretty confident that'll happen.
Just to give you a feel for the room, and let me poll the room, how many people in this room believe that the most strategic relationship between any two countries in the world is the U.S. and India? And how many of you believe that we are in very good shape on the relationship overall? Just a show of hands. And how many do not? That is so different than 5 years ago. And it just gives you a feeling for where we are. What mistakes will we in the business community make? Because you have, as you said, been on our board, and at times we focus too short term. What mistakes will we make in terms of our business communities, both the large companies working together, the startups working together, interfacing to government? Give us advice on how we navigate through this in a way that adds value as opposed to doesn't create the desired outcomes.
Look, I'm not sure I'd agree with you that business community makes mistakes. Okay, everybody pursues their interest. Now, and that's natural, that's legitimate. I think the issue is when you are in the policy world, you have to kind of temper the aggregate of these interests with a kind of a big picture. Okay. There are times when it may, on that particular issue, you may have a very strong interest, but you trade it with something else. So, a lot of the challenges to my mind, businesses will do what businesses should do, which is to pursue their business interests. You can't tell a company, hey, pull back on something because there's some larger sort of goal out there. I think that's very much the responsibility of people in administration in both countries. That how do they do that reconciliation? First, of their own aggregate of interest, prioritize them, because nobody gets everything they want. Life is a series of trade-offs. So you do your internal trade-offs and then you do your bilateral trade-offs as well. And I think that's much more a responsibility of the policy world, of the political world, than it is of the business world. What the business can do to be helpful is when they get a fair solution, okay, it may not be 100% of what they want, but if they get something which looks decent, I think they should go for it rather than push their own administration to take extremist positions. There, certainly businesses can help. I think if a business drives their particular government too hard on a particular issue and says, no, hang tough on that and put the entire relationship at stake, I don't think that business is helping itself or the relationship.